Yo guys, what's up? It's your boy Farron Khalid and I'm kicking off another episode of Collective Connect with three young entrepreneurs and their teacher. So I'm going to introduce everyone into this conversation with these three guys to start off with. We've got Lena here, who's a businessman, if I understand, who's part of this application. We got Charles, who's the head of creative, a really awesome comic guy. And we got Bruno, who's just so tech savvy, it'll just blow your mind. And then we got his amazing teacher, Samir, as well, who is such a cool teacher for actually bringing these guys on the show, because not many teachers go to that length. So why don't you guys just all introduce yourselves? I guess I'll start off with you, Lena.
My name is Lena.
Yeah, cool. Did I say it right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
You're actually like the closest one out of everyone.
Oh, really?
That said it, yeah.
Yeah, it's quite
You got it quite quick.
Thank you. Yeah, I try. So yeah, go on. Yeah, exactly, bro. So, what's your role in Alpha Apps? Which I'll explain to you guys in a minute as well.
I do the advertising stuff of the comic book,
Awesome.
I've also created the storyline
Right.
and the website as well.
Nice. So like the concept behind the
Yeah.
thing. Yeah, that's really cool because I feel like a lot of things are based around concept. That's cool. And what about you?
So I created the comic and the drawings inside of it, and also do some background research.
Cool.
About where we could sell the comic eventually.
Okay, cool. And then what about you, Bruno?
So I created the application. So based on the graphics on the comic book, I created a series of games, series of mini games, which would be activated if you scan the comic book.
It sounds like quite a lengthy process, to be honest. When did you guys start this?
We started last year in year 10.
Right. What year you guys in now?
Year 11.
Right. What school do you go to?
Evelyn Grace.
Shout out Evelyn Grace. Right. So that's really cool. So how old are you guys?
I'm 16.
16.
Yeah, we're 16.
Right. What's it like being an entrepreneur at 16? What are your friends like? Do they think you're like really cool?
Yeah, they think we're rich already.
Right, I was gonna say, do they ask to lend money?
Yeah.
Butt me £2. I need to get some lunch.
They was like, oh, don't forget us.
Yeah, exactly. So where do you guys want to go in the future with this app? And you know what? Before that question, what is this app? Alpha Apps.
It's an augmented reality video game.
Augmented. What does that mean? So it's an augmented reality video game. Can you go into detail?
It basically makes everything appear like in real life on your smart device.
Right, yeah, because you guys have given me a magazine here. It's the first issue. It's called The Adventurous Life of Big T. I'm assuming this is towards like younger children.
Yeah.
Okay, right. So it says this comic book is an augmented reality comic book, so contains interactive AR elements. So you download the Big T app, and then you find a page on the comic that contains the AR activate icon.
Yeah.
And then you use the Big T app to scan that page, and then the game will actually appear in front of you in your own eyes. Nice. What is AR? Like what
It just makes everything appear real in your phone.
Oh,
so
cool.
you know, like Pokemon Go. Have you ever played?
Yeah, I've heard of Pokemon
Yeah,
Go.
it was like that basically.
All right, cool. So
if you wanna see it, we can show you right now.
Yeah, show me. Cool. So like, who manages like the AR? Like, how did you guys get into AR?
You.
Okay, cool. So we when we came up with the idea, we were discussing ways in which we could make comic books more interesting, because interest for comic books are decreasing over the years. So we were like, oh, children are not reading as much, and comic books are quite interesting. So how can we bring 21st century technology into these comic books in order to make them more interesting towards children?
Right. Okay.
That's
cool.
when
I like that.
Yeah, that's when we came up with the idea of bringing it.
Yeah, because like usually when I think of comic books and kids, I just think of like kids tearing them up.
Yeah.
You know, like using crayons. But
And
I guess
not a lot of them really like to read as well. Like,
yeah. How did you guys come about the idea?
we just like started writing down ideas like on a paper,
Right.
and we combine all of them together.
Yeah, nice. How long have you guys been friends for?
Like 3 years.
Oh, so you guys have like all been friends for like
Yeah,
quite a
yeah.
long time.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's cool. So like, was you like just sitting down at lunch one day and were like, we should start a business, we should do something?
No, we started off with Teen Tech. So
Right.
in year 9, we actually made a like educational app.
Right.
But then that one didn't like get as much. It didn't get to win in the Teen
Right.
Tech.
Okay, cool.
So we were like, right, we need to make a new idea, a better idea. So next year we can actually win this.
Right.
So we went into year 10, and then by the end of year 10, we actually managed to win the Teen Tech Awards.
Yeah. Do you feel
yeah.
like you learned a lot from it, like failing
Yeah.
first time out?
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Do you
And we actually got invited to Buckingham Palace as well.
Really?
Yeah.
No way. Did you meet the Queen?
Not yet.
We're going to.
On the
Oh,
26th.
right. Did you meet the Princess Kate?
No, not yet.
She's hot. Meghan Markle's quite hot as well. Yeah, I know. If I go to the palace, Harry better watch out. Yeah, that's cool. So, what was the first app about anyway? Like,
It was educational app, so it combined like series of quizzes, and it basically made teachers' life easier. So it had quick marking,
right?
and you can talk to students
Yeah.
through the app as well.
Right. Cool.
You could share homework. You
Yeah.
can upload homework.
Mhm.
Yeah, all sort of things.
Good idea. It's like building a community where people can sort of interact with each other on, the conversation of school.
Yeah.
That's awesome. A question I got as well is like, where do you see this app going? Because I feel like it could be really big. I think it's a really cool idea. So yeah, where do you just see this going? Do you want this to be like a really big app?
Yeah, that's the whole plan really.
Samir, I got a question for you, bro.
Yeah.
So as a teacher, like, I feel like a lot of the time, the education system we currently live in, it kind of sets you up to go by, pass exams, learn the books, but not actually try or experiment or make anything. Where do you think the difference has been for these guys in terms of actually trying and experimenting with things?
Yeah, I mean, I think the biggest thing with most schools is as you say, sort of everything's in the classroom and looking at how you can pass exams. I've always kind of seen it from a different perspective in trying to find ways for students to see how different subjects can take them into the real world.
Mm-hmm.
So that's why I got them started on the Teen Tech Awards. So they were able to use what they learned in my subject in computer science
Cool.
and implement that into real world activities. So
Right.
setting up your own team, setting up your own business, come up with an idea and sort of seeing how you can make money out of that.
Right.
And I think programs like that is what kind of helps students kind of realize, actually, I'm okay at this subject, but actually if I apply myself a little bit more, I can do all these amazing things.
Yeah, right.
All I need is an idea and to get started.
Yeah, and I guess sometimes, like, you just don't find yourself kind of, like, looking at the bigger picture for
Yeah.
what a subject
Yeah.
can actually do for you as a student.
Yeah.
And I feel like programs like that can help so
Mhm.
much. Do you think there's, like, a shift which needs to be made in the education system where there is more emphasis on programs like that?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of schools are sort of trying to implement more extracurricular activities. I think the bigger sort of impact comes from those things. So more schools should try and focus more on stuff you do outside of the classroom. Obviously, the grades are really important as well,
Of course.
but getting every single student involved in some sort of extracurricular activity really, really goes a long way with them.
Right. What got you into teaching? Because you seem like an awesome teacher.
For me, I think the biggest thing was, I mean, I like to help people,
Right.
but also for me, when I was in school, no one really ever sort of told me what I was good at. I only really realised what I was good at like when I had finished school and saw my grades at the end of GCSEs.
Right.
And I kind of always wondered, like, if there was someone to say, you're getting this right now, but if you go and do these things, it can really push you to do a lot better. I feel like I would have done it even better in my GCSEs.
Right.
So I kind of wanted to be someone to sort of help kids that most teachers tend to sort of forget about.
Right.
Those students that are sort of average, kind of
Yeah.
in the middle of the class,
Yeah.
and sort of showing them actually you can achieve these amazing things.
Mhm.
All you've got to do is A, B, and C, and you've got it.
Right. So
That's the main thing.
yeah, it sounds awesome. 'Cause like, sometimes all young people need is really just a bit of encouragement and guidance and
Yeah.
saying that you can be good at what you do. You
Yeah.
can actually achieve an impact. People in a lot worse situations than you have made really amazing
Yeah.
things. I guess, like, what advice would you have to teachers? Because, like, the education system, it gets slated all the time. It's like, it's
Yeah.
antiquated, it's old, it should change. And I guess really at the end of the day, it does start with the teacher. Because as a young person being in a classroom,
Yeah.
the teacher was often the reason why I would do good or not good in that subject. Because if I didn't really like them, I'm not going to bust
Yeah.
my arse and work hard for them. But
Yeah.
if I did like them, then I would work harder, I'd be better, I'd be more engaged, because they're more engaging, they clearly care.
Yeah.
But what advice would you have for teachers?
I think my advice is to sort of not prejudge any of your students. Because what I've found I've only been teaching 4 years, and what I've found is those students who start off kind of being the weakest in my subject, or even like in Lena's case, not even knowing what my subject was, can often be the ones that can probably thrive the best if they're just given opportunities to shine. So I think, yeah, don't prejudge any of the students. give them opportunity to see, actually, yeah, I can do this. And you'll see that the weakest students in your class can really quickly, after about a year, become the top students in your class.
Yeah, I mean, like for me personally, I used to study business studies in school, and I did it as a GCSE. And when I began, I was like quite naughty in school. I wasn't naughty where like I would harm anyone, but I was just naughty, right?
Yeah.
It's a bit of a shit. And my teacher, she, Miss Ozturk, shout out to her, one of the best teachers I've ever had. She always believed in me,
Yeah.
and she always encouraged me, saying like, "Come on, come here. I know you can be good at this." And like, she'd never get really angry at me. She'd always just be there to encourage me. And going from a C student, I actually got an A star at the end of my A levels in business. And like to go from like failing my mock and getting like a D to getting an A star at like my A level, it's just like it's the transition that can happen if like a teacher actually believes in you.
That's the
So
difference teaching can make.
yeah, what do you guys think about teaching in general as young people? Because your teacher here seems awesome. Seems really cool.
Yeah. Before, like, no,
Can you
no
tutor me?
teachers,
I'll pay. Sorry, Karen.
no teachers really believed in me. But then when Mr. Mohammed started teaching me in year 9, and he always kept pushing me like to do more things than I think I could do. So for example, teen tech, I didn't think I could do that, and it was a really it really tested me that being a manager as well. Like I didn't know I could manage a team. I didn't know I could lead these guys. I didn't know I could be here right now. So yeah.
Yeah, that's cool. What about you guys?
Well, for the start of Teen Tech, before that, I didn't really do any revision. I didn't do anything, and I know I could do it, but
Same.
there's no one who really told me just do what you know you can do. But after now, I'm going after school to do revision every single day. Like,
Yeah,
and I think it's the same with him as well.
yeah.
Most teachers have this narrow perspective of what you have to do in school over the years that you learn, especially in secondary school. It's like, oh, you're expected to get these grades. You're expected to do this and this and that. But they never really speak to you about the extra things that you can do in school,
Right.
the extra curricular stuff that we can do, and what actually what's actually going to help us to push ourselves
Yeah, right.
and become someone great.
Yeah, of course.
And
yeah.
people like teachers like Mr. Mohammed really help.
Yeah.
Really help us to.
You guys seem like you're really on your purpose. Like you know where you want to go, you know, and you're pushing towards it. As a young person, I'm not a 15-year-old, but if a 15-year-old is listening right now, right, or a 14-year-old, someone who's just finishing year 9, going into year 10, or even like a 12-year-old, I mean, your mum should probably approve first, but you know, if you're a young person listening right now, what advice would you give to them at your stage in life, based on where you're at right now?
I think they should try new things that involves technology, because right now technology is a massive thing.
Mm-hmm.
So if you get involved in technology, like it can push you so much.
Mm-hmm.
For example, me, like I just wanted to become a footballer.
Right.
Like that's like every kid's dream.
Yeah, of course. What position
But-
did you play?
Striker.
Yeah, let's have a game of footy soon.
Cool.
Yeah, come on.
But then I started getting into teen tech, and it really changed my life. It
Right.
actually did.
So do you think it's like putting yourself out there and putting
Yeah.
yourself in new situations is kind of where you're going to figure out more about yourself
Yeah.
than you could ever figure out? Yeah, what do you guys think? Like, what's the source of your motivation? Why do you get up in the morning to do alpha apps? And we'll talk more about alpha apps in a minute, but I just want to get down and understand you guys a bit in terms of that.
Well, it's because I believe that I actually know what my purpose is now, so I know what I'm working towards instead of just like working towards like random place like
Right.
most people actually do. But
Right.
I know
Yeah,
I
that's
have
true.
my eyes set on what I'm actually gonna do in the future, which
Right.
is teen tech.
Exactly. Yeah, and yourself?
I think Alpha Apps it really helps me to understand how to work in a team, and I want to become a software developer in the future. So I think learning how to integrate yourself within a group
Right.
and learning how to work with others
Yeah.
will help me to understand how to actually work in the tech industry.
Yeah, of course. So as like young people, what do you think like is the problem with getting other young people motivated? Because like it's an important question for someone who's 19 like me has to ask, because you are in the same generation as me, and ultimately the only way we can all thrive as a generation is if we all become more productive and work together and become more collaborative within our organisations or different places where we're doing things and actually seek out to get shit done. What do you think? Like, because with like social media being such a big thing, like
Yeah.
everybody, like, I think people in general are quite lazy.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, you may notice that at your age, like people just
Yeah.
don't want to work. It's just not in them.
I think it's too long.
But what do you think? Where do you think the transition is? What can people do to start getting motivated and start hustling and start doing stuff and enjoying themselves and creating stuff?
I mean, like teachers can help a lot as well. Just find the right teacher that can push you a lot.
You, Samir, you hearing this? It's your job.
Mr. He actually pushed us a lot, pushed me individually as well. Like before, I used to be at the bottom of the class every single time on computer science, but now I'm the top. I always been on the top. No one can
Jeez.
take care of it. So.
Say no more. Stay on the top.
What?
Can't come down no more.
Like, your boys are just listening. Like, what? Are you sure? Like, we're in this room with you. You know.
I got the evidence.
Got the stats. Right, cool. So I'm looking through this magazine right now, and so it's this guy Big T. Tell me a bit about Big T. I want to know about Big T. So Big T is the storyline for their magazine which they've created,
Yeah.
and it's the adventurous life of Big T. So tell me a bit about him. I'm interested. What does
He
Big T
was
do?
created by a boy called Todd. He created him and basically it reflects us as well because he created him in a school project.
Cool.
And he basically created him to help him with his daily life
Right.
and like
So like an assistant.
yeah, basically.
Cool. Like a robot assistant. I'm
Yeah,
guessing.
yeah, yeah.
Cool.
But then he didn't work because he got attacked by some bullies
Oh.
and the robot got ripped apart. And,
No one likes bullies.
yeah.
Cool.
And then Todd threw him in the bin, and some devil character came in and took all these bits together and made him into a bad robot.
Bad robot.
Yeah.
And does he like? What does he do then?
He starts killing everyone.
Wow. Yeah, that's cool. I mean, cool. And what happens? Big T defeated the devil and saved
Yeah.
Todd. Nice. The fight against the devil is important. Yeah, I like this. This is
And
cool.
that's actually one of the best games we've got on the app.
Right. That's good. Oh, you got an app. Oh,
Yeah.
show me the
Yeah.
app. So what's the app called? So like, if
Big
you're a
T.
parent listening to this, which I think is important, because you're getting like the mindsets of young people. You may have a 16-year-old boy or girl,
Yeah.
all those boys in this room, who are listening to it, who may give some advice to younger people. Get your son or your daughter or someone who's their age to watch this, because these guys set a brilliant example for what young people should be like. But yeah, show me the app. I'm interested. It's called Alpha Apps, by the way. Where can you download it?
Google Play Store and the App Store.
Google Play Store and the App Store. You buy that shit right now. I will shout you all out. I promise. Right, cool. Let's check this out.
So here we have the main menu.
Right.
And
Wow, it's really well designed. Like the user interface and is really good, right? So you scan it, right? So you got the main menu. I like the main menu. It's really like interactive. It's like a video game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You have to open the comic book.
Oh right, okay. So
So-
I'm gonna open this comic book now. I'm gonna try this out.
Might as well take out the phone case.
do you want me to?
Yeah, probably. So Samir, what do you think about this?
That product? I think it's really cool.
Right.
That took quite a lot of time, quite a lot of hours to put together.
Yeah, I can tell.
And so doing the Teen Tech Awards with a lot of students over the past couple of years, that's definitely my favourite project I've seen come to life.
Right, nice.
That's probably done so well.
So explain the process behind it. How did you guys like start this to how you've actually made this magazine to how you made this app? How did it all work? I want to know it all from beginning to end. I want to know the whole process.
It all started with Teen
No
Tech.
pressure. But go on. Yeah.
Yeah,
Sorry.
it all started with Teen Tech. We put out ideas on a piece of sheet, and we combined all of those and made it into one. And well, we all chose our roles.
So it started off with drawings.
Yeah.
Nice.
Then he started doing. I started doing
Yeah, the story.
Yeah, the storyline.
So you chose your roles and
yeah,
then,
and then he used the storyline to create the comic book.
Charles made the storyline.
And then
Cool.
he started using the comic book to create the apps.
Right, Bruno made the app, and then cool, and then you managed the whole team. You
Yeah,
managed to
yeah.
organize it together. A very important role, bringing people together with different skills. It's valuable. Cool. And then how long has it been like taking you to like from beginning of this this award show or this what's it called again? Tech.
Teen Tech.
Yeah, Teen Tech. Since then, like how long has it taken you to make this?
I think it's about a year.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, a year.
And like now you've got the concept. Are you ready to like make a lot more?
Yeah.
And what is it you need to like scale? Like what are you looking for? Like what's your next step with this? Because you got issue
We're
1 here.
looking for funding,
Right.
so we
Okay.
can actually put the comic book out there.
Right.
So yeah,
How many of these are made?
with just one.
Just the one.
Yeah.
Cool. How much does it cost you to make?
It costs like 25p.
25p.
Yeah.
Wow. Now that's profitable. Yeah. Don't worry, guys. We'll give you 20% discount with this podcast. Yeah. Yeah. No. Awesome. I feel like you've definitely got a great business idea here, and you
Yeah.
should really pursue it. Yeah, I think it's important to learn about the business side of it, production, design, coming up with new stuff. Understand this is a beta model, and you keep making, and just keep making. Don't stop. Yeah.
Cool. Yeah.
So I got the camera with me right now. Test this out. I'm like super scared, like a robot or a devil's gonna come at my face. Just like on the podcast.
So if you check out the final game, for example, which is one of the
Okay.
the
Which one do you want me to check?
The last game.
Yeah,
The
the last
last,
one.
the last
It's
one.
the best one.
Yeah.
Okay. Is it where it says AR activate?
Yeah.
Okay, so this one, yeah.
No.
Oh, no, it's bonus.
Yeah, the one before that one.
Alright, cool.
So you just scan the whole page.
Okay, scan
So
the
if
whole
you just-
page. Okay. Okay, yeah, whoa, this is cool. So it popped up on the screen saying the final game, you are Big T and you must defeat the devil at last. Launch the rockets and enable shields to destroy the devil's platform. Playing the user interface is really sick, man. It's really like modern, you know, it doesn't look
Yeah.
bad, it looks really good, it looks really professional. It looks like something you'd pay for as an app, do you know what I mean? And they got a nice loading page. Okay, so freeze button with Billy, sure. Right, okay, cool. So where am I looking at this now? Oh my god, it just popped up in the middle of the podcast room.
You have to.
Right.
You have to show.
Yeah, you have
You have to
to-
point it out there.
Oh, you have to play. You have to, oh right, I see. Oh my god, this is so good. So basically, guys, it's like it puts the video game on the comic. So
Yeah.
the comic actually becomes a game
Yeah.
rather than just reading a comic. This is so sick. All right, that is awesome. That is awesome. Honestly, download Alpha apps. Your kids need to get in this new tech. You're not a good parent if you don't do this. You need to love your kids, right? Like I used to play around with Argos catalogs and rip it up mindlessly and watch SpongeBob for 7 hours on repeat. If I could have got that when I was a kid, my god, my childhood would have been amazing. But that was pretty good. Props anyway.
Thank you.
This is awesome. Yeah. Wow. Cool. Yeah. We'll cut this part. I'm just trying to think of something to say.
Hey, I've got something.
Go.
Yeah. So, do you think the fact that you're younger and you've grown up with technology around you gives you a certain kind of edge that's different to, say, like older people, because you've grown up around it and so you have a better idea of what young people want? Do you think that's helpful at all?
Yeah, because it really shows us what we wanted as a child, and with all this technology that they couldn't use it to help us with like reading, for example.
Hmm.
Like when I was younger, I did not like to read, but if I had that, I'll be reading like every day.
Mm. So is your goal with this app is to get as many young people reading as possible?
Yeah.
Right. So where do you want to see this? If, like 5 years from now, where do you see Alpha apps?
We see our files in like comic book stores.
Right.
See children walking around with a comic book on their hands.
Right. Cool. That's
Yeah,
cool.
we've actually like can use that educational as well.
Right.
In our school, one of our teachers, the English teachers, used it as they use it in class
Right. Cool.
to annotate on stuff.
Yeah. What your just out of interest? What your family like about it? Your family really supportive about it?
Yeah.
That's good.
My
That's
mom's really
good.
happy.
Really, I bet she
Yeah.
is. That's cool. Yeah.
Can I add something on
Yeah.
what you were
Of
saying
course.
before?
Yeah.
So,
Sure.
like, I've been around a lot of like businesses, and a lot of the time they are so old-fashioned with what they're doing. They
Yeah.
they just do it the old way. So like things like
What
this.
do you mean by the old way?
Well, like they just don't like using technology for
Mhm.
for certain things. They just don't know how to integrate it into what they know from the books.
Right. What type of businesses are you talking about as well?
Well, so I went to an engineering company,
Right.
and so they used a like an old way of mapping out a certain area.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, like, we came up with this idea for them that you could actually use a similar kind of thing, so similar kind of app to this, so they can map it out in 3D on their phone, so they
Okay.
don't have to go to the place to
Right.
see like everything there.
Right. Okay. Cool.
Yeah,
And then you were saying something about you don't like the way businesses are so old-fashioned.
yeah.
Do you think they're quite close-minded in their approach to doing things?
So yeah, when like
Right.
people like from our generation grow up with
Right.
like this kind of technology, we'll be able to make that change.
Right. And say if you guys were ever going to get a job at a company, right? Because that could be a possibility as well. What type of company would you guys look to work for? What kind of values would they need to have? What kind of ethos? What kind of environment would it need to encourage and foster?
Well, I would personally work at a place like Google or Microsoft, where
Right.
you can work with a big team in terms of software development.
Right.
Not just Microsoft or Google specifically, but even startups.
Right.
A nice environment where you can discuss and create ideas and share
Right.
ideas with a large team,
Yeah.
with a small large team.
Right.
But you know them,
Yeah. Yeah.
and you can you're free to talk with
Yeah.
them, and you're free to.
Yeah, I guess like, is it important that like you're actually able to discuss ideas and
Mhm.
actually being able to like create stuff? Because like I feel like a problem for me as well is like I'm not gonna work for a company if I can't actually make anything there.
Yeah.
Like if I'm just like mid-level management, like
Yeah,
I
they-
have my
they
job
shut
to
your
do and
idea
they
down.
shut you down.
Yeah.
Like nah, man. So is that like kind of similar for you in a sense?
Yeah.
Yeah, to a certain extent,
Yeah.
I guess. Yeah, cool. So like, what are you guys planning to do in the next few years? Because I'm guessing, are you guys doing your GCSEs at the moment?
Yeah.
Right, how you finding them?
Good.
Quite stressful.
Yeah, they were shit, huh? I fucking
Yeah.
hated exams.
Yeah.
Yeah. So like, when do you guys start your exams?
I think in March, May, I don't know.
What year are you in?
Yeah, 11.
Oh, you're 11. Nice. Are you guys gonna go sixth form?
Yeah.
Same
I'm
school?
trying to get an apprenticeship.
Yeah.
Okay.
After college, I'm going to apprenticeship.
Oh, okay, cool. Apprenticeships are really good because you can actually learn like the skill. I'm assuming it's computer science or something along them lines, or
No, engineering.
engineering.
Yeah.
Nice. And what do you want to do then?
Computer science.
Right. And are you?
I would do maths, computer science, and physics. Yeah.
So you're staying in sixth form?
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, that's nice. What are you guys thinking about apprenticing?
I was actually trying to get an apprenticeship with Microsoft.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That's good.
Or IBM.
How are you finding it in terms of getting it? How do you find it in terms of like, one, getting the apprenticeship, but two, being taken seriously as young people, as young entrepreneurs, I guess?
I mean, if you got a teacher like Mr. Mohammed, anything's possible, isn't it?
Oh, right, nice. Are you the negotiator?
Yeah, he's
Are
the
you-
one that actually helps me with the
Are you the
apprenticeships.
closer?
Apparently, yeah.
Right, coffee and donuts for you, my man. Alright, cool. Yeah, that's sweet. So, like, do you guys plan on going to university one day? Or what do you guys even think about university, you know? Because, like, there's so much stigma around paying to go uni.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you guys even
I
think about that?
University is like, it depends what uni you go to.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, because some universities can be very strict. Like, you have to do this work, this and that. You don't get much more freedom.
Yeah, right. That's why I go to this uni. Like,
Yeah.
shout out UAL. You're still expensive as fuck, and I know the chairman takes all the money. I just shouted you out. What? Kill shot. Nah, but I mean, like, to be for real, I feel like the one thing I do love about going to this uni, I do advertising at London College of Communication. I just feel like there's just so much creative freedom while still understanding the context of how things actually work. So it's not like I'm deviating so much from what already works in the industry, but then you have that room to explore and innovate and create something, which I think is quite cool. And I think it's so important doing a subject which actually makes you critically think and explore the boundaries of what's already been made. Otherwise, you're gonna provide no value. I feel like everything ultimately is value. Like, I provide value to you, you provide value to me in whichever way, but you need to go somewhere which fosters that, whether that's an apprenticeship, whether that's uni. I think that's the right path. What do you guys think about uni?
Well, I was thinking about going to a uni, but with all the money and the cost, then I realized that you can actually do apprenticeships where some of them will actually pay for you to go there,
Yeah.
and then they'll pay you while you're there. So it's just way better, and you're learning while you're working, and
Yeah.
you're getting paid.
Right. And what about you? Because I'm assuming you might go to uni because you're doing
Yeah.
A levels and that.
Yeah, I'm thinking of going to uni to do computer science.
Okay, cool. Oxbridge.
Yeah, I was thinking of going to a Russell Group university,
Yeah, cool.
but I'm not sure if I'm going to leave London exactly.
Right.
Um,
UCL's a good choice. Or
Yeah,
King's College.
UCL's, yeah.
Yeah. They do a computer science
Yeah.
course. I was gonna do information management for business there. Thank God I didn't. I'd have probably been shot myself by now. It's like probably the most boring thing ever. I mean, for you guys, it's probably a bit interesting, but for me, it's like I need to make something. Oh my God. Yeah, that's cool. What do you think about uni, Samir?
I mean, the perspective is changing completely now.
And this is from a teacher, so this is interesting.
Personally, I think if I was their age, I'd be looking to more of what Charles was talking about, which is more of a level 6 apprenticeship.
Right.
So where you get to work and you get your degree at the same time. And I thought there's a lot of students that are kind of shifting towards doing that now. And I've even seen a lot of universities are starting to get a little bit desperate for numbers. I think probably half of my year 13 class have been offered unconditional offers for like all 5 unis they've applied to.
Wow, the turnover rate.
And it's not even just like low universities. I'm talking like Russell Group universities.
That's so
like,
sick, man. Give this man a raise, someone.
No, I'm not saying that wasn't on me. I'm saying that's more on the universities sort of struggling to get numbers.
Oh, right.
That's what I think it's more down to.
Oh, hence why they're giving unconditionals, because they need
yeah,
people to actually
yeah,
go to the unis. Tell me a little bit more about the level 6 apprenticeship. That sounds interesting.
So, from what I understand about it, is
Young people tune in. Sorry.
you work for a company for I believe 3 years, 2 or 3 years. While you work for that organisation, you also study at the same time. So you're doing an apprenticeship and you're getting a degree. At the end of 3 years, you get your graduation in the same way that any other university student would get. But you leave without being in debt. So you don't pay for anything.
Do employers see it as equivalent to a degree?
I believe so, yeah, because you get a degree certificate at the end of it.
Right.
So it's the exact same thing.
What kind of subjects would you recommend it for?
At the moment, they only really exist for things in the sort of IT field, and like media. So it's mainly sort of, there's a lot of stuff like digital marketing, a couple engineering stuff, and sort of web development. That's where most of those level 6 apprenticeships are in at the moment.
Right.
But I think as the years go on, there will probably be more options available, depending on career, really.
Yeah. As a teacher, like how have you seen things? How long have you been a teacher for?
4 years. I'm in my 4th year now.
Right. And that's when you started teaching. Like, so how have you found like the process of becoming a teacher? But also like, are there like a lot of people wanting to be teachers? Because I've seen a lot of ads for them, and I don't know if I've heard there's a problem. But I mean,
I think there's a problem with a lot of teachers wanting to drop out of teaching. Probably mainly down to the workload and the level of stress a lot of teachers go through. And I think as a teacher you kind of feel like there's always too much to do at times. Like I always have a list at the start of my day of things I need to get done, and then I look back at that list at the end of the day and I've got like 2 more items on that list.
Yeah, it's just
it's
much.
crazy how much work there is. So you'll see a lot of adverts for teachers, because I think I read a fact that currently the UK has 30,000 less teachers. So there's a huge teaching crisis at the moment.
Yeah, that's a bit of a gap. I mean, what's like the main motivation to encourage people to get into teaching, I guess? Yeah, sorry, Mel.
Oh no, I will just answer us.
Yeah. So what was like the main sort of like motivation for you getting into teaching, and what do you think? What would you say to people who are potentially thinking about becoming teachers? What piece of advice would you give them?
I think for me personally, it's just a case of wanting to change young people's perspectives. So one thing I said when I was at Teen Tech Awards last year was this idea that so teaching in Brixton in South London, a lot of kids, they don't really see beyond South London, and they don't really see anything beyond their own town. So what they see around them is the kind of future they think they're going to be having, which means they don't really try. And I think what a lot of kids need to realise is that a lot of these major companies want to work with them, no matter where they're from. And it's just, I think for me, my motivation was to try and show these students that actually you might be from South London, but there's no reason JP Morgan won't be calling your name.
Of course, like
Yeah.
if I could quickly go on one point, like I work for a company called the Big Youth Group,
Yeah.
and the idea behind the Big Youth Group is we want to get people into mentorship programs, we want to get young people into workplace. So I feel like a lot of the time it's so easy to just be so stuck by the environment and the people you're around that you don't believe that you could actually do something or people would actually give you the shot. But in reality, if you put yourself out there and you try, when there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
And like people who are generally successful, and I've met quite a lot of people like that in the last few years, they see me trying and they've
Yeah.
given me opportunities, they've given me shots. And the thing is, people who tend to be successful tend to have failed quite a lot. It's not one big straight path, do you know what I mean? It's not like they expect you to be perfect. They love it if you try and keep trying, so eventually you'll kind of get it right, do you know what I mean?
Definitely. I mean, there was a point like when these guys were working on this comic last year, and I don't know what man is saying this. There was a point where he sort of felt like giving up. And
Never give up.
I told him to just keep it for a couple more weeks, see what happens. It was like a week or two after we had that conversation where I got a phone call from Teen Tech saying that the CTO of Disney Animations wants to work with them on their idea. So he actually mentored them throughout the whole process.
Wow, can I get an amen in here?
Amen.
Okay.
Amen.
Thank you. Sound effects, boom. Yeah, we're gonna add a sound effect in that part. That was awesome. Seriously, what was it like working with the CTO at Disney?
It was really it sort of shocked me as well, because that, in my opinion, at the start of this, I didn't really like the idea,
Mm.
because I felt like it was gonna be like boring.
Right. Yeah.
But then when I saw that it got the attention of the CTO of Disney
Moving.
Animations,
Yeah.
and I was like, whoa,
Yeah.
this can be something.
Yeah. Was he all in on this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. What did he leave any good advice with you? What did he say to you?
He said to use us as to get the attention of the media, because
Right.
we are a young age,
Yeah. Of
and
course.
having a product that uses augmented reality,
Yeah.
which he also suggested is going to be the future of entertainment.
Oh, it definitely is.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
going to help us a lot.
Yeah, you guys could definitely get in the press being your age. You know what? Outside of this, I'm going to help you guys create a press strategy, and I'm going to give some strategic ideas to get awareness around your brand. And I'm also going to connect you with some people who may be able to help with
Thank you.
funding or raising finance for sure. And any more points you guys want to add? Actually, you know what? We're going to end this in a minute, like 5 minutes. I got one more. Good question. Where do you think the biggest improvements need to be made in the education system, Samir? And what give us the actual context of what the education system's actually like. Tell me how you see it as a teacher, and where you think it may need to be improved, or where it's actually fine and there's like myths.
I think for me, the biggest problem I feel is there's too much talk in education about data, and about how, like, okay, if this kid achieved this score or this grade in year 6, by the time they're in year 11 they should be like this. Like, that's a huge amount of time to make a crazy prediction. And I think what I think is the issue with that is there's a change that happens to all students when they transition over into a whole new school.
Right.
That grade they get in year 6 doesn't mean anything anymore.
Yeah, it's like it's projected value,
Yeah.
which takes no account in
And it-
terms of the
yeah.
inherent value of a
And it-
person,
and it
what they're
puts-
capable of learning.
And it puts the kids in a box saying, okay, I only got that score in year 6, so they only think I can get this score at the end of year 11.
Right.
And that kind of, I think, stops a lot of kids from achieving what they can really achieve.
Yeah, I think another problem with, like, in my opinion, is like when you're in schools and you got sets. Like, I think sets are valuable to a certain extent. Like, you want to be around people who can operate on your level, but then you don't want to just like what you know as someone who may be really smart. You can help someone who doesn't know as much. Because if you make it one big collaborative environment and people from different groups work together rather than being separate, it's like prison almost. It's like, yeah, I'm in maximum security. Oh yeah, I'm a bit free up here. You know what I mean? It's like, I don't know. I just think that's
Yeah, I think it's true. I mean, so Bruno's an example right now. When he started in secondary school, he was in the bottom set for everything, and you probably wouldn't
Seriously.
even believe that talking to him.
I wouldn't believe. Bro, you. I was thinking of you. I was like, oh really? I was like, damn. And I looked at you. You were bottom set, dude. Can you speak into the mic? Everyone needs to know which one Bruno was. Bruno, go.
I'm Bruno.
Oh my god, you sound like the CEO of Google, man. Like you were bottom set. Fuck me. Yeah. So I mean, what was it like making the transition from bottom set to, like, you know, top
I-
sets? I'm guessing.
Stop saying
Yeah.
everything.
Fucking high five, man. Boom! Sorry, I was a bit loud. Ouch. Go on, carry on.
I guess that because when I came to this country, about 3 years ago, 3 to 4 years ago.
Right.
That's why I was in Volmstead, because I
right.
didn't know how to speek English properly.
Right, yeah.
But then
But you're just speaking in your own language, like, this is so fucking dumb.
yeah. So as I got into the school community, and as I met new people, and as I started to learn how to speak English, and as I met new teachers, teachers like Mr. Mohammed in year 8, you know, the way I viewed school, and the way I started to push myself to do better towards my future.
Of course. But do you feel like it's like a foreign person coming to the UK as in a school environment, like an international student? Is it quite challenging?
It's a bit weird.
Yeah, I can imagine.
At first, because there were some Portuguese people in my school, but I didn't really want to be in that group.
Yeah,
because
you
it
wanted to.
It was quite a weird group.
Alright.
But yeah,
I love that. It's
Uh,
like, yeah, I have to be with you because I'm Portuguese. I've literally got
Exactly,
no
yeah.
one else to speak to, man. Great. Yeah. Yeah. And also, I'm gonna end this sort of near now. But I mean, do you have any final points on the education system? And I'll let you guys wrap up with any final points, call to actions, or anything you want to leave with my audience. And by the way, I love the concept of Alpha Apps. To wrap up my point on that, I think it's awesome,
If
and
you
everyone
want to
should
follow
download
us,
it. Yeah. Go on. What's your social medias?
the Alpha Apps.
D Alpha Apps. Okay,
Yeah.
not D. The
Yeah.
THE
Yeah.
Alpha. And if you don't know how to spell Alpha, just really well, actually, is it hard? ALPHE. I'm joking. Apps. And yeah. So check them out on Instagram. I'll have links to everything these guys do below. I'll also have individual summaries of who these guys are on the website, so you guys can find their individual social medias, as well as figuring out how you can get in contact with them. If you guys are cool with that, we can make that happen. Wrap up on the education system. I think it's so interesting having a teacher, and it's just such a unique opportunity.
I think maybe my final point of making education is for students in general, like no matter what box they've put you in, whether you're listed at the top of the class or bottom of the class, just put the work in,
Right.
because these guys have, and they're all doing really, really well right now, and that's only because they put the work in. Like anybody could do it, but they just put the work in. That was the only difference.
That's it, guys. You hear that? I swear to God, the obstacle's the way. The thing that seems the hardest thing to do for you to do is what you must do. We're
Yeah,
designed for
some-
challenge. Let's work. You know?
Yeah,
Enjoy
some
yourself, have
students
balance as well.
actually get like angry at some teachers because like they like we're putting in their effort, but they think that we're doing nothing. So like after school, we're like every day until like 8 in school
Right.
working,
Yeah, when
And
I
then-
was... Yeah, go on, sorry.
and some students get angry because they wasn't given the opportunity that we got given, and I think it's because they're not willing to put the work in.
Mm.
So they just think, oh, this is long.
Mm.
Like, why am I gonna do this? But look where it got us.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, when I was in school, I always I moved to a school called Whitchurch in Cardiff, and I'm from London originally. And when I was in school, I used to just spend hours alone in the library. Like literally, I'd get in at school at like 10. I'm not joking. I would like sit in the library till 5, go to another library till 10, and then I exceeded all my classmates, all of them, and they all thought I was like a pretty average kid. I exceeded them all, and like the thing is, everyone, they didn't like it at first because they weren't used to me, quote unquote, winning or like achieving or doing things well. And it's like sometimes I feel like when you are doing this at your age, it's very easy for people to be like, oh, shut up, man, what are you doing? Like, chill out a bit. But never let them hold you back, because eventually it'll all pay off. Do you know what I mean? It's like, yeah, just keep going for it and keep hustling, man. Like, get around people like yourself. The people you hang around with are the most important people in your life. They're the people who are going to encourage you, they're going to inspire you, and they're going to give you mindsets and perceptions and views of the world, and therefore you'll take action because of them feelings, motivations, and mindsets. Do you guys have anything to wrap up with? Any advice for young people? Because you guys are pretty cool.
Yeah, just like if you want to get in tech business, try out with Teen Tech.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
Teen Tech.
Teen Tech.
Alright, cool. So, okay, cool. Yeah? Sorted? Sorted, Samir? Any other points? Or
That's what I've got to say.
Emil?
I was wanting to.
The voice of God's back.
I was wanting to ask, like, Samir, like, what steps do you think the government could take to support teachers in a better way, because it's quite a volatile profession?
That's a big question actually. I think probably the first thing would be funding for schools. Like the programs I run in my school, the STEM programs, they've been run off of like no budget at all. I know if there was more funding in schools, we could probably get a lot more done. I also think if teachers were paid a bit more, maybe they'd stay around a little bit longer and deal with the work rate, and probably more control over, I guess, class sizes, and actually the level of data that teachers really need to be talking about, because those kind of things are the things that really add to the workload and to the stress of most teachers.
How do schools get funded? So I know it's like based it's a lot of it's objective, right? Like depending on how good the school does.
Yeah, a lot of it depends on how many students that school can bring in. So how many kids come into year 7, how many kids they can recruit into year 12 for the sixth form. It's based on numbers and also what kind of students they choose to take in as well. That's my understanding.
Do you have any like suggestions for how the funding process could possibly be better? I mean, it doesn't have to be right, just whatever you think.
I have no idea because I've never dealt with any funding. So
alright, that's something for Collective Connect to research. We'll make long form posts about this. We'll do our research. We've got our team on it, and we'll give a proposal to the government. You better be ready, Teresa. We're coming for you. Okay, cool. So I'm gonna wrap this up here. You guys are awesome. And Samir, you're an awesome teacher. Please keep up the hard work. You guys are going to go very far if you keep on this path. Just stay focused and never let your distraction. Don't get distracted. Keep imaginative. Keep being young. Keep being creative. Samir, you're awesome. Keep doing what you're doing. So if you could do it with these guys, I'm pretty sure there's a lot more to come. And eventually, you'll be you'll just
Lost for words.
Lost for words. Too many words. Yeah. All right, guys. I'm going to wrap this up. You can also follow us at Collective Connect on Instagram. You could get us on Facebook. You can also hit us up on our website if you want to get involved, come down on the podcast, or if you also want to become a contributor and actually comment on Collective Connect blog posts or articles or just anything. Hit us up. We can make it happen. Also, follow me at Farron Khalid if you're a hot girl. I'm joking there, guys. All right, cool. I'm going to end this here. All right, thank you, guys. Love you all. Have a good week. Stay inspired and keep informed.